So today we're going to make a top. It's no sew, so you don't need a sewing machine, you don't need a thread, you don't need a needle, you don't need anything but your chalk, scissors, measuring tape, and your fabric.
Oh, hey, I didn't see you there.
Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Silem. If you're new here, please hit the subscribe button so you're notified whenever I post a new video. I want to say a big thank you to all my new subscribers. Thank you so much for subscribing, and to all my returning subscribers, thank you for coming back to watch another video. So today we're going to be doing another no-sew project. If you haven't watched my last no-sew project, please check it out right here. So today we're going to make a top. It's no sew, so you don't need a sewing machine, you don't need a thread, you don't need a needle, you don't need anything but your chalk, scissors, measuring tape, and your fabric. So for the fabric you need a solid fabric that's also a self-finished fabric. So by solid fabric, I mean a fabric that there's no clear distinction between the right side and the wrong side. So there's no difference between the right side and the wrong side, meaning that the right side of the fabric and the wrong side of the fabric are identical. Yeah? And then the fabric also has to be a self-finished fabric. So that means when you trim it, it doesn't fray. Okay? So that's what you need for this project. If you want to see how we make this top, please keep watching.
So the first thing you need to do is fold your fabric. It doesn't have to be equal till you get the length of your top. I'm just using my phone to hold the fabric because it's really slippery and smooth and it could fall off the table. So my fabric is still folded. Now for the length of my top, I want my top to be 27 inches. And now I've measured that, and now I'm flipping the fabric so that the fold that was at the top is by my left, simply because it's easier for me to mark that 27 inches along the fabric. As you can see, my fabric is still folded. I'm leaving it that way. Now from the fold, I'm measuring 27 inches, which is the length of my top, and I'm marking that point, and then I'm repeating that process along the fabric, just so that when I eventually cut it, it's a straight line. Now, the beautiful thing about this DIY top is that you could make it a gown. If you have a lot of fabric, or depending on the fabric you have, you could simply increase the length to 38 inches for a short gown, or you can make it 60 or 63 inches depending on how tall you are and how long you want it to be. But you can make it 63 or 60 inches for a long gown. So you could make it a top with about from say 23 to 27 inches gives you a top. You can make it 38, 40 inches will give you a short gown, or you can make it 60 to 63 inches for a long gown. So it's a very versatile project, very versatile style as well. So I'm just cutting along the line that I marked. So I marked 27 inches along the fabric, and that is what I'm cutting now, just to make sure that it's a straight line. Try to make your line straight because you're not going to hem it, so it has to be neat. And now what I'm doing is taking the fabric. It's still folded, as you can see, still folded. So what I'm simply doing is folding that in half again. So I'm simply folding that in half. So now this fold you see represents my center front. That is the fold you see right there. So from the center front to the end of my sleeve, I'm taking 20 inches. So what you have to know is that when this top is done, it gives you an extended sleeve. An extended sleeve is a sleeve where there's no clear cuts that differentiates the shoulder from the sleeve. So the shoulder and the sleeve are joined. Okay, so I'm simply marking 20 inches along the fabric, which is what I told you is the length of my extended sleeve. And when I'm done marking that, I'm simply cutting that, still making sure that my lines are straight while I cut. And after that, I'm unfolding the fabric and I'm simply folding it again the same way but from the other side, simply because it's easier for me to work on my left, funny enough, than on my right. Simply because I'm going to be using my right hand to cut, so I want the fold to be at the left side. So I'm just making a tiny hole at that point there, at that edge, and then I'm unfolding my fabric again. You see the tiny hole I made shortly. So this is the tiny hole I created by just cutting that edge. So from the length the width I want my neck to be is 9 inches. Now half of 9 inches is 4.5. So I'm placing that 4.5 at that point, that hole where you have that hole there. And then I'm simply marking the 0 point on my tape and the 9 points, which is going to give me the width of my neck. Now you could use 10 inches for the width of your neck if you want, but that will mean that half of 10 inches is 5 inches and you place 5 inches at that tiny hole at the center. Hope that makes sense. So I'm just marking the 0 points and the 9 points, and from that tiny hole in the center I'm cutting to the 0 point, which is by the left of the hole, and then from that center hole again I'm cutting to the right, which is to the 9 mark. That's the mark 9. I can't talk. So just cutting all the way to that 9 point. So that gives me the length of the width of my neck to be 9. Now the length of my top is still 27 inches, just going over the measurements again. And then from the center front, the length of my extended sleeve is 20 inches. Now the length of from one end of my sleeve to the other end of my sleeve, the length is 40 inches, simply because from the center front to one end of the sleeve is 20 inches. And now the width, oh my god, the width of my neck is 9 inches. You can make yours 10 inches if you want. simply produce